Hi, my name is Josh Garrick, and today we're going to be walking through select problems from the first Computer Science 1371 homework. So we're going to be starting with Homework 1, Problem 2, the Pythagorean Theorem problem. Pretty much I'm just going to be walking you through how I took the approach on how to do the homework problem with how to trace through what you want to do and how you want to get it put onto the actual function and how to really get full credit for it. So as you can see, this is how the problem will actually be presented to you in the homework file that they send out. It's really just a lot of information thrown at you, and you just want to be able to wade through it all and make sense of it and get the necessary information that you need to solve the problem. So as you can see, the function name is going to be Pythag, while the two inputs are going to be the length of side A of the right triangle and the length of side B of the right triangle, with the output is going to be the hypotenuse of the right triangle. The description that they give is that the function will take in the lengths of two legs of a right triangle and use the Pythagorean theorem to calculate the hypotenuse. They've added a note at the end that you might find the square root function useful, and if you don't know what the square root function does, then simply type help sqrt into the command window and it'll actually come up with an exact explanation of what the square root function does and how to use it in MATLAB. While as with all that, they have two test cases to make sure that the function you write in the end is the correct function. So moving on from that, I'm just going to show you how I would go about in approaching and stepping up into the problem and really getting out the information and trying to figure out what you want to do. So at the top you can see I would list out my inputs and my outputs, what variable names I would use for them. Some important notes to get through the problem would be what the actual Pythagorean theorem is. While in order to solve for the hypotenuse, you can see that side C, or SC, is the variable name I gave, with what it would equal to if you solve for the hypotenuse in the original Pythagorean theorem equation. So you would get SC equals square root of SA squared plus SB squared. Now what you want to do is actually type this into MATLAB into a good function form to get what the answer that you want to get in the end. So turning it into a function, you know that the function would be function outputs equals function name inputs. So we have our outputs and our inputs. Then what we want to solve for, so we have side C equals square root of side A squared plus side B squared as a function. So these are what it would look like in the actual MATLAB. With a comment underneath so that you can get those little extra credit points, we say takes the square root of side A squared plus side B squared, and of course in the end you have to end your function. So with that, once you type that into your function and save your function as Pythag, you can run your test cases that were given to check your work and find out that indeed this is one of the correct ways to do this problem. Because as we all know in CS 1371, there are multiple ways to do every problem. Okay, so moving on to homework 1, problem 4, the right triangle. This is again how it would be presented into the homework 1 file that they send out every week, with the information going through from top to bottom again. You'd have the function name. This one would be named try_info, and you want to make sure that you get everything exactly as they specify it, so you don't get points taken off later. With the inputs for the function, you're going to have two again. Type double the length of side A of the triangle and the length of side B of the triangle. You're going to have two outputs, also type double the area of the right triangle and the perimeter of the right triangle. The function description that they give is that the function takes in two sides of a right triangle and returns the area of the triangle and the perimeter of the right triangle. A hint that they give you is to think about calling your Pythag function to handle some of the work. Again, here are two test cases that they give you to test your work once you've finished typing in the function. Going on to some useful information that you might be able to use for your function in really going through how you want to solve it. This is just how I do it. This isn't how you have to do it, but I find it effective for me. So looking again, we have two inputs, side A and side B. I call them the variables SA and SB. We have two outputs, the area and the perimeter, and I have area and perim. So some notes about the problem that I felt would be useful would be the right triangle itself, side A, side B, and side C, as well as the area of a right triangle equals 1/2 base times height, which would be side A and side B. The perimeter of a right triangle is side A plus side B plus side C. While once again Pythagorean theorem would be side C squared equals side A squared plus side B squared, just like in the last problem that we did. In going down to write out the actual function, you have function equals outputs, area and perim, equals function name try-info, and inputs SA and SB. So moving on to our first step in the problem, we have side C equals Pythag of SA and SB. So this will actually access the Pythag function that we wrote in the previous problem. And as you can see, we commented the whole problem again. So with this line, it uses the previous Pythag function to find the last side of the triangle. After that, in the next line of code, we have perim equals SA plus SB plus SC. As we had already mentioned earlier, the perimeter of a triangle is all three sides added together, as we commented also. So we would simply use this to find the perimeter. And once again, the area would be typed up in MATLAB. You would want to use 0.5 dot multiplied by side A dot multiplied by side B. Uses the area equation to find the area of a triangle, and of course you want to end your function. One thing that I did forget here is semicolons at the end of each line. You want to put semicolons at the end of each line to suppress unnecessary information. But once again, you'll just want to type in your test cases to verify that the answer you want is the answer that you get. So that's just going through two of the problems from homework 1 and really just trying to get through how to go about solving these problems, how you want to solve them. I'm working on better ways to go about showing how to do these problems, but right now I just felt like this was the best way to really present all the information and really show you how I go about doing them when I'm doing the homework and actually writing it out and going step by step to see what I want to do and how to do it in MATLAB. So, thanks.